Everyone, and welcome back to the sort of graduate interviews that we're conducting. Today, we're joined by an incredible student who I got to know in her final year. Zuza, you are graduated from the Faculty of Business and Law in May last year. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Zuza. I'm originally from Poland. I graduated last year, studied business administration. I technically did a 4-year course in 3.5 years because I did a placement in between my second and third year. And currently I'm working for Innocent Drinks as a project analyst, and I live in London.
Oh, wonderful. And so I believe after you graduated, you did apply for quite a few sort of grad schemes and things. How did you end up finding about Innocent, and being, a smoothie wizard?
So it's actually quite funny because we don't have Innocent in Poland, so I didn't know this brand existed at all. But my first ever seminar at Coventry was about Innocent Drinks. And my marketing lecturer was like, today we're going to talk about social media and how some companies use it. And he talked about Innocent Drinks, and he actually got us all a drink. So my first ever seminar was like, this is great. They give you free stuff at uni. And then I really liked it. And then I read a bit more about this company. I was like, oh, it's quite a cool company. We obviously kind of drunk the juices, but kind of went into doing a placement. And then on my final year, I was just drinking a juice in the library, and my friend came to me. Her name is Kelly, and she was like, oh my God, I love Innocent. They're such a great company. My dream is to work for them. Zuza, you fit their culture. You should apply for their job as well. So I applied for their graduate scheme, got an interview, which went horribly badly. I was using my boyfriend's computer, which crashed in the middle of the interview. And then I got really stressed. And then I was just saying really bad things. And after the interview, I was like, I just know they're going to reject me, because it was one of the worst interviews of my life. And they rejected me, which I was like, fair enough. I would not I would be surprised if they wanted to hire me after that interview. And then the pandemic hit, and obviously we moved to be online. And they emailed me saying, Zuza, we still have your CV on our database. We have this job opportunity going on. We think you would be great. You should apply. So I applied, had a few interviews, and then was offered a job.
That's incredible. I think you hear sometimes of people falling in, or being at the right time at the right place kind of thing. It sounds like almost the opposite with you. You were, unfortunately, the laptop was not in the right time at the right place for you. But clearly they saw something in you, and it's gone well. What's the last sort of 6 months of working with Innocent looked like for you as a graduate?
Innocent is a great place to work for graduates. I mean, I think it's a great place to work for anyone, but for graduates especially, because it's such a place of young people, so everyone's learning. You get some people with 10 years experience, but you get people who just I have never worked in this field before, I'm kind of figuring it out. So everyone is super supportive. And what I love about Innocent is that they don't talk about career ladders, they talk about career climbing wall. So every year with your manager, you talk about, do I want to go up in the career, or do I want to try something new? So you get people coming to a finance department who are like, oh, my life I worked in marketing, but I wanted to see how this is. And that's so amazing. But I mean, my manager studied engineering, and she's working in supply chain right now because she's like, I didn't like engineering, so wanted to try something new. So yeah, it's amazing. But at the same time, you can feel very overwhelmed because they do give you a lot of responsibility. You talk to CEOs of some companies when you're like, oh yeah, just graduated last year. That's me. But I think it's a great place to work. So I would definitely recommend it to anyone, not only for business students, because really I have friends, graduates there who studied crazy stuff. I mean, you couldn't imagine that what they studied, they ended up working for a drinks company, but it's a great place to work.
Oh, that's fantastic. During those application processes, after you had sort of finished with the university, or even before when you were starting to apply and look for things, it sounded like you heard about Innocent through a friend, just so happens at the library. But was there anything at that time that you were using to sort of help, or what were you feeling before you sort of started applying, around that time?
So I use the employability service a lot in the ground of the William Morris, which I think they now rebranded into a talent team.
Yeah.
but the people working there just like knew me because I was there almost every single day. I was like, here's my application, here's my CV. Like I was telling them about my interviews, and they were super supportive. And when I got a job, I know it sounds bad, but like instead of like wanted to like call my parents or my boyfriend, my friends, I really wanted to just call the team to be like, hey guys, I found a job. And like I emailed them, and they emailed me back being like, we're so proud of you, Zuza. And they're like really like help you personally. They didn't just see you as a number on a spreadsheet or just like, okay, another person. They really wanted you to succeed, and they really wanted you to get your dream job. And I found that amazing, like how helpful they were, because I think especially as an international student, like obviously CVs in different countries look differently. So for example, in Poland, it's normal to include a photo on your CV, which is something like not the thing in the UK. You'd be like a bit of a weirdo if you do it here.
There's a selfie, you know.
Yeah. So, you know, coming to the services and being like, okay, this is how your CV should look like. Sometimes even like the wording. As brutal as it sounds, but a lot of companies don't even read the CVs because they get so many applicants. They just put it through like systems who look for specific words. But the talent team knows that, so they will be like, put this word in and put this word in. And I think the most important advice that I got from them is to like really believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself in the interview, people who are interviewing and they won't believe in you either.
Yeah.
So like never say, oh, you know, I did this project. Be like, no, like I'm super proud of this. I achieved this. I delivered this project. Be super enthusiastic about like your career and what you have on your CV, because then they're going to be enthusiastic about it as well.
Yeah, and I think there's some stuff to pick up on that before, but as the degree, you know, even though there was talk of marketing in the first seminar of Innocent, which is nice. You know, it's like taking those skills that you've learned throughout the 3 years and being able to apply them to a range of different opportunities. Sounds like an amazing thing. Taking a step back from, you know, applying for jobs and graduate schemes and everything else in between, we've been talking a lot to our other graduates about how they prepared for their sort of final little stint of university last year, especially considering you guys were sort of the third years who were going through the COVID-esque period. You know, it was a small window for your cohort of students, but was there any tips or tricks to revising from home, you know, at the beginning of the pandemic that you think would be useful for especially faculty specific students? That makes sense.
Yeah, I think something that I did even before COVID, but I think really, really helped me when I had to study from home, and even now, to be fair, working from home, is to like plan your day a lot. So like I do it right now, like I do it at Outlook. At uni, I used to do it in Google Calendar, but like if you want to do it on paper because you don't want to look at the screen, that's fine as well. But to really like plan everything, so you'd be like all your lectures, all your seminars, you can be like 9 till 10 lecture, 10 till 10:30 breakfast, 10:30 till 11 shower, because it's so easy to like just look at the screen for a long time and feel burnt out, and you forget about eating your lunch or having like going for a walk, which is so important. So like if you plan it in your day, and if you plan it like on your calendar on your phone, and you get notification lunch, you know, okay, now I stop looking at the screen, I go to the kitchen, make lunch, maybe read a book, maybe call a friend.
Yeah.
And that will be so refreshing when you go back, and you'll be like more productive as well, because like reading for a very long time from a screen makes your eyes really tired, makes you not productive. So having those like often breaks and not looking at the screen the whole time, I think it's super important. And then it makes you also less stressed and anxious, because you know everything is planned. So if you know you have an exam coming up, you're like, okay, I have an exam, but I already scheduled this time to study. I know I have enough time to prepare. You don't feel like, oh my God, like your life is out of control, because you have everything there planned in your schedule.
Yeah, that's amazing. I believe you did a dissertation or an extended project on this topic of, I think it was something to do with, you know, like working like
Working
outside of working from home and everything. So it does seem very apt, obviously, that in this day and age.
Yeah, it was the funniest thing. So obviously you have to have your topic approved earlier. So when I said to my supervisor, I really couldn't decide. Like, I think my supervisor was like, Zuza, you really need to decide on your topic. You're changing your mind too much. I was like, okay, fine. So I decided to write about benefits of flexible working, including working from home. And that was before COVID. COVID hit and my supervisor calls me and be like, Zuza, what a topic. This is brilliant. You can just now have all these resources. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's writing about it. So I was like, I know, it's amazing.
Was there anything from your studying or from that research that really was like a bit of a shock, or something you can pass on to the current students who are going to study?
I think the thing I found is that it's not that people hate working from home, but people hate being told what to do. So if people so people hate being told what to do. So if they can choose to work from home, sometimes they will. So I think what COVID will now introduce is more companies will allow flexible working. So they will say you can work from home if you want to, you can come to the office if you want to, and that's where people thrive the most. If they have an option and they're like, I'm here because I chose to come to the office today, or I'm working from home because I chose to work from home.
Yeah.
Which was, the COVID situation was hard to people because everyone was told to work from home. And even people who normally like doing that, they were like, oh no, this isn't my choice. I'm being forced into this. So I found that was really interesting.
And from that, and sort of like the research behind doing a dissertation, as most people had, there was like the library was, I think, taken out as an opportunity for students to go study in around this time last year. Studying from home and writing a dissertation from home, was there any websites, any services that helped you with that?
Yeah, so the library website is obviously amazing, where it's like Google but better, because you can have certain resources there, but they're legit. They're not just like scams or really bad writing. They're good sources. So I definitely would look on the library website. I think the really important thing for business students especially is commercial awareness. So following websites like Financial Times or The Economist, like not even for dissertation, but for our own knowledge is so important. So you know what's going on in the world, and that can be seen big time with Brexit right now.
Yeah.
So many businesses are affected by it, from supply chains to people from EU coming now and doing these and needing visa. I think if you go into an interview or in your dissertation, when you show I really do understand Brexit, that's really amazing, and that comes to any commercial issues.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's not one I would have thought of really, but yeah, there's not going to be a single industry that probably isn't going to be affected by Brexit in some manner. That's shocked me quite, actually. If I'm thinking if I went into an interview and they asked me about what Brexit is, I would probably panic a little bit. That's good to hear. So yeah, I think that sort of wraps it up in terms of my questions. But if there's any other last bits of advice that you'd like to give to your faculty and school specific third year, second year, first year students, feel free.
I think the most important thing is to know that you have to go for a lot of rejections before landing your job. And it sucks, obviously, to be rejected, and it sucks not to hear from companies at all. But you kind of forget about it once you land a job. You just like, when I think about it now, I was like, yeah, I got easily 50 rejections. And it's hard because sometimes they all come on the same day and you just feel so demotivated to apply for more. But I just had like a separate folder in my email called rejections. So I just moved them straight away. So every time I open the email, it's not there. It's hidden in the folder, so I don't have to look at it. But yeah, it sucks. I mean, companies sometimes give you good feedback, but sometimes they don't give feedback at all. And it's sometimes easy to just be hard to the companies, but you have to think of how many applicants they have, and they just cannot give individual feedback to everyone. But it's just to keep applying, and then if they give you advice, to apply that advice, and then just like apply and apply and apply again. And sometimes maybe, like in my case, apply to the companies that already rejected you. It doesn't mean that they hate you. Maybe just they didn't think that you fit that specific role. But yeah, so rejections are really hard, but they shouldn't like demotivate you and make you not want to apply anymore.
No, it's fantastic. Thank you very, very much for joining us today. I'll be looking out for any new Innocent smoothie flavors. This is not a sponsored or advertised position, but thank you so much, Zuza.
Thank you so much for having me.
Have a wonderful day.
You too.